Hey everyone, I forgot to film an introduction when I filmed this video that you're about to watch. So you'll see that I'm in a different shirt, but I have the same wig on. I'm here to talk with you guys about storing your wigs. I know I have a whole video on this in my new wig wears segment. I forget which episode it is, but I thought I had some new things to share, and I get this question all the time, like literally every week. So I wanted to bring you guys a quick tip Tuesday, just talking about storing your wigs, specifically synthetic, and what I have found to work the best for me and some ideas for you. So if you want to know more about what I have to say on storing synthetic wigs, then stick around and let's just talk about it. And I will also link to that new wig wears series where I talk about similar things, but I go a little bit more in depth. So if you're really hungry for information like this, watch this video, then go watch my new wig wear series episode on the topic as well. That should give you a lot of information to digest, and hopefully it will be helpful. So let's go. Hey friends, let's talk for a second about wig storage. I'm speaking specifically about synthetic wigs right now. They are so easy to store compared to human hair wigs. The wig I have on my head right now is Aesthetica Mellow, and I have actually not worn this one for probably a year. And I don't know why, because I love it, but you know, I have just am blessed to have a lot of wigs because of what I do as a hobby, which is wig reviews and education. And so Mellow has been living in a box for a year. And I pulled her out of the box this morning, and all I did was shake her out a little bit, comb her out, and plop her on my head. This is what she looked like after doing that. Now, obviously, I had gotten rid of any manufacturer box hair long ago because I wore her a lot for about a year. And so what happens when you get it from a manufacturer is you don't know the conditions that they're living in the box. You don't know how long they're in the box. They do come packed a certain way. They come with a bunch of silicone coating on them. And there's all kinds of factors that are different than when you store your wigs in a box after wearing them and getting them styled the way you want and removing that initial box hair. And so don't be afraid to store your wigs in a box, especially if you're not packing it tight in the box. I actually store my wigs that I'm keeping, that I know I'm never going to sell, in a Ziploc bag, and then I put all of the wigs of the same brand in a largish tote. I have one of those totes right here. Let me show it to you guys. Like this. This has helped me since we moved last year into a smaller house. I have storage issues, and so this has really helped me. I used to store them in the box that it came in the manufacturer box. I don't have room for that anymore, so I store them in here. And this is a good example of what I do. I just stick them in Ziploc bags with their tags if I have the tag. If I don't have the tag, I'll label the bag. And then I stick all of the wigs of the same brand, or I'll maybe combine multiple brands, and then I will label it. This is the one I keep in my bedroom with wigs that I'm sort of in rotation with, so there's no label on it, but I'll label it. I'll put Aesthetica on it, or John Renault. That way I can at least head to the right box for the wig I'm looking for, and then dig through it for the wig that I want. And I do not, I'm sorry guys, I'm getting a little shiny. It's really hot in here right now. I don't deal with box hair. I don't have to worry about it getting box hair again and then removing it, because synthetic wigs, like I said, are super easy to store. They really do want to keep the style that they come in, and because of the way that I'm storing them, by gently placing them in a Ziploc bag, just making sure that when I do that, let me demonstrate it for you. Whew, that's so much cooler. I take and I make sure it's combed out. It depends if I'm going to put it in long-term storage. It's probably a good idea to wash it. I didn't wash this one, and I can kind of tell that I didn't wash it, but comb it out, smooth it out, and then I gently lay it in the Ziploc bag, and then I zip it up, you know, get most of the air out of it, and that's how I store it. I know some people will put the tissue paper in to keep the shape of the cap. I haven't done that, and I haven't had any detrimental issues not doing that. But if you keep that tissue paper, that might not be a terrible idea. And that's what I do. Some people will stick a dryer sheet in the bag with their wig. I don't do that. I just sort of do it this way, and it works really well for me. I have not had anything get damaged on my wigs doing it this way, as long as I'm careful how I lay it in the box. And, you know, if I get, let's say you have a ton of the same brand, you might need to use a bigger box or multiple boxes if you want to go with this route, just so that you're not packing them super tightly. I think that is one of the keys to making this work. So again, just make sure it's laying nice, and you know, depending on the length of the wig, I think there's a lot of factors, but I've been doing this way now for over a year. I started it actually with some wigs before we moved, and then I had to kind of transfer all my wigs to be this way, and I've yet to have any detrimental effects. So that is what I recommend you do when you want to store your wigs. Now, let me just see if I can turn this a little bit. You can see on my wall over there, this is my bedroom, I have a bunch of wigs hanging on the wall. I usually hang the wigs that I'm currently in rotation with on my wall so that they're getting aired out in between wears, that they're really easy to grab. So that's another option. I'm not a fan of keeping your wigs out in the air long term though. I just think my experience in a Minnesota winter is that they start to get really dry. I think they're much better in a closed container. Now, some of that will vary depending on where you live. What kind of air pollution are you dealing with? Do you have your windows open a lot? You know, these sitting out in the air will gather dust just like anything else. So I wouldn't do that for long-term storage, although I know many women do, and they say it works fine for them. So we've all got to find our own way on this journey, and I think it's really important that you don't just take my word for it and take that as gospel, that you kind of research and find out what other people are doing. But I'm not going to tell you guys I do something if I don't do it, first of all. And I'm not going to come to you and say this is a great solution if I haven't tested it over a longer term where I feel really confident making that recommendation. If I had only been doing this for a month or two, I might I'm talking too fast, not swallowing enough. I don't tell you guys. Let me back up. If I were only to have been doing this for a couple of months, I might tell you that I'm doing this, but I would qualify it by telling you I don't know the long-term implications. It's just something I started doing. In this case, though, I think a wig sitting in a box in this way for a year is a really good indicator of whether or not it's going to be detrimental to the wig. Like I said, the type of wig may impact that. How much, if it's a super, super long wig, could that, because now you have to fold up the hair underneath it, it's not going to damage it, but will it potentially have any cold crimping or cold setting? Those are the same thing for sitting in the box. Possibly, but if you're keeping your wigs in climate controlled conditions, I think you're going to have less of a chance of cold setting. I think a lot of times why that happens is because wigs, before you get them, are not necessarily in consistent climate. They may be going from a hot truck to an air-cooled warehouse, back to a hot truck. They might be going from air-cooled to not an air-cooled warehouse. I mean, there's so many variables. So that's just a little bit of a background. So storing your wigs, my preference is to either hang them on my wall, either on a hat rack, as you can see, that's a hat rack there. And then I've got some command strips with hooks along the wall that didn't fit on the hat rack. I hang them upside down through their wefting. If it's a hand-tied cap, I take a laundry hook, a clothespin with a hook on it, and I put it either on the tag if the wig has the tag or just by the nape, and I hang it that way because you can't risk anything poking through that hand tied. So that's how I store wigs in current rotation, and in a baggie, in a box, like a Tupperware Rubbermaid for wigs that I'm putting in storage for a period of time. I hope that helped you guys. I thought this was going to be a shorter video, but I hope it gave you the information that you were looking for as you're trying to figure out what your best solution is. Thanks for watching, guys.